we had a major problem closing on a transaction, and I expect to see more situations like this one. I'm going to talk about that and the latest home prices and insights for the Peel and Durham region for week ending January the 4th, 2023. Here's what happened. We're representing the buyer. We purchased the property. On closing, major problem closing. Now, I know most people are thinking right away, what happened? Did the buyer not qualify for the mortgage? Did the buyer this, the buyer that? It's almost always the buyer's fault. Not in this situation. Our buyer was all set to close. The seller couldn't close. Why? The seller, the price they sold their home to my buyer for wasn't enough to cover the costs of paying out the mortgage. The seller owed more money to the lenders than what he sold his home for. This is a major problem, and I expect, like I said, to see more of these. What happened in this situation, the seller eventually delayed closing for a while, was able to borrow money from one of his family members who they took a loan on their home to lend to the seller, who managed to close on this. But, you know, there's going to be more situations like this, especially as home prices have come down the way they have, and as interest rates have gone up. There's going to be people in situations can't afford to keep their homes that are going to be selling, and prices versus what they owe, they're not going to be in line. They're going to still owe money after they sell. So it could have been a lot worse. Some of you are thinking, oh, that's a bad situation. It is. But at least this seller in our transaction had control, was able to sell on his terms. Way worse if the lender, if you go into default and the lender takes over your home and sells under power of sales. Not only do you get all the fees tacked onto this, but the home still gets sold at market value. And if the proceeds do not cover the mortgage, that lender can still go after you. That is a way worse situation to be in. My advice, do things, plan things. If the writing is on the wall, be organized ahead of time where you still have somewhat control over the process and the outcome. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule's organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Interest rates are up. Affordability is becoming more and more difficult. Prices are down. There's some homeowners getting or going to be getting into difficult situations. If the writing is on the wall and there's going to be issues in affording making your mortgage payments, my advice to you would be seek out information and solutions sooner rather than later, and speak with professionals, people that know how to help you. Let's get into the numbers. Now, we finished off a year, we're starting a new year. I've introduced some new charts to help us understand what's happening here. So here we have Peel. This is all of Peel. So Brampton, Mississauga, Caledon. So all of Peel, detached properties only is what these numbers represent. Broken down by month, going all the way back to 2018. And I've got highlighted in black, I've got December for each year. December, why December? Well, it's the last full month. So December 22 for Peel region, 255 detached properties were sold. Average sold price is $1,275,000. Again, all of Peel for detached properties only. If we compare this to last year, to get to last year's price, this price here, $1,275,000, we need to increase that. It has to appreciate by 25.7%. So we're way below last year's price. But I know there's lots of people thinking prices are coming way down. I'm going to buy when we get to 2018 prices, 2019 prices. Well, let me tell you what that needs to look like. For our current price to get to 2019 prices, our current price needs to come down by 20.2%. To get to 2018 prices, we need to come down a further 29.4%. So, long way to go. Is it possible? I'm not going to tell you if it is or it isn't. I'm going to let you just figure that out and understand how much needs to change to get to 2018, 2019 prices. Here we have months of inventory for December last year. Months of inventory has been coming down through the course of the year. Months of inventory has been going up. Average prices have been coming down. We're now sitting at 3.1 months of inventory. That's for all of Peel Region for detached properties. Let's look at Peel and Durham, some of our regular program. We have Mississauga here. In red is Durham, and in green, these are Brampton. Average sold price for detached properties only. We're going to start off with Mississauga. So this is, again, detached properties only, but this time I have broken down for the year, starting from the year 2000, and then we finish now 2002. The reason I'm doing this is because I've seen a lot of reports coming out where they're talking about year-over-year prices, and 2022 prices are higher than 2021 prices, and lots of people think, well, what are you talking about? Prices are way down. Well, they're averaging the whole year, and it's correct. 2022 prices, and if we're just talking about Mississauga detached prices, 2022 average price is $1,653,000. That's for the whole year. Average sold price is actually up over $100,000 from the previous year. That's a 6.5% increase. But that's because we were so high in the first quarter that whatever prices came down, it's averaged out where it's still higher from the previous year. The only time since the year 2000, and now we're at 2022, the only time where year-over-year prices dropped was 2018 when the stress test was introduced. That's the only year since the year 2000 where prices came down year-over-year. But if we look at the sales of 2,302 for 2022, I went back as far as I could. The data through TREB, I can only go back as far as 1996, and there wasn't a year where we had lower sales than what we had last year. So 2,302, it's the lowest sales since sometime pre-1996. Here we have our regular charts broken down by week. I'm still talking about Mississauga, but these are weekly data. For week ending January the 4th, 10 detached properties were sold. Two of those were sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price came up to $1,495,000. I gotta say, be careful about some of these numbers when we're looking at sales this low. Last week of the year, first week of the year, it's really hard to kind of take these as this is exactly an average indicative of what's a normal market. It's not, but I'm still producing the numbers for you. $1,495,000 is 16% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price of $1,410,000 is 10% lower than the median price a year ago. The dotted line is a 4-week moving average, and going back 3 months on this chart, we can see that the 4-week moving average shows average price and median price sloping down over the previous 2.5, 3 months. Sales. 10 sales were done. Last year at this time, 8 sales were done. Pretty similar. The amount of these 10%, so just one, 10% sold at list price or more. Same time last year was 63%. Listings. 24 properties were listed, same thing last year. Here's a couple of things I want to point out though. Active listings this year is 204. Same time last year, active listings were 84. Active listings this year versus a year ago are 2.4 times higher. So sales are lower or the same, but we have way more properties available for sale this year. And I've made a note here for power of sale listings. Now, this is for all the GTA power of sale listings for the month of December. For 2021, there were 17 power of sale new listings, not just on the market, but new listings. And for 2022, we have more than double. This year, we have 36 power of sale properties that came on the market for the month of December. Now that's for all the GTA. Months of inventory for Mississauga sitting at 4.7 for week ending January the 4th. Here is Brampton. Brampton also, I got the chart. This is a yearly chart, average prices from the year 2000 to 2022. Average sold price from 21 to 2022 went up $148, almost $149,000 average sold price year over year. That's a massive increase. That's an increase of 12%. So huge numbers. But we know how the year ended. That's an average for the whole year. And if you don't know, I'll remind you when I get into the next few slides. The only time since the year 2000 where average sold price year over year was lower was in 2018 when we introduced, or the federal government introduced the stress test. As far as sales go, we ended the year with 3,319 sales. Here's today where we are. For week ending January the 4th, these are weekly numbers now, not yearly. For Brampton only, detached properties, 23 detached properties were sold. One of those was at $2 million or more. Average sold price is $1,251,000. 1251 is 20% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price of $1,140,000 is 21% lower than last year's median price. The 4-week moving average, the dotted line, pretty clear, shows a decline over the last couple of months in both average and median prices. Of the 23 that sold, 17 sold at list price or more. Same time last year, 82% sold at list price or more. It was a whole different world. Listings. We listed 43 detached properties in Brampton for week ending January the 4th, 2023. 288 at midnight, January the 4th, there were 288 detached properties for sale. These are active listings. This time a year ago, we had only 59 listed. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is there was only 59 listed and sales were higher. That helps explain, supply and demand helps explain why prices went through the roof and why this year it's a different situation. We have 4.9% the amount of properties available for sale, and sales are lower this year versus the same time last year. So there's more choices. It's a whole different supply-demand dynamics out there, bringing prices down, or at the very least keeping them the same, not going up. Months of inventory for week ending January the 4th for Brampton, 2.9 months of inventory. Here we have all of Durham for detached properties, but this is all Durham. From the year 2000 to 2022, average sold price for Durham went up year over year by $101,000, 9.8%. Huge increase in average sold price. But that's for the whole year. We know how the year ended. It's not looking the same way. And sales, 6,635 detached properties were sold across all Durham. Let's zero in on Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby. That's what I'm going to use for my Durham sample. And my weekly chart is here. So 6 detached properties were sold for week ending January the 4th. Still part of holiday season. So only 6 were sold. No properties sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price is $1,190,000. $1,190,000 is 10% lower than what the average sold price was same time last year. Median price a little higher, $1,195,000. That's 11% lower than where the median price was a year ago. Sales, this year we sold 6. The blue, those are sales a year previous. Also, 6 were sold. So sales for the same week ending were the same. This year, no properties sold at list price or more. A year ago, all of them, 100%, all the properties that were sold in Durham in Ajax, Pickering, would be sold at list price or more. Listings, 30 listings came up. It's nice to see more and more properties coming on, more choices for buyers. 126 active listings midnight January the 4th. This time 12 months ago, there were 27. So we have 4.7 times more properties available for sale in Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby. More choices out there. Months of inventory sitting at 4.8 months of inventory. I imagine over the coming weeks, it might be right away in the first 1 or 2 weeks, this to come more in line to where we were before. Here's condos. Now this is for all of Peel region. 13 condos were sold for week ending January the 4th, 2023. No condos sold at $1 million or more. Average sold price has been coming down. It's now sitting at $558,000. At the peak, we're at $753,000. Basically, 12 months later, we're at $558,000. It's come down by about $200,000 over the course of a year. $558,000 is 18% lower than last year's average sold price, and the median price of $550,000 is 20% lower than last year's median price. The dotted line, the 4-week moving average, it's pretty clear over the span of 3 months. Both median and average sold price have been coming down. It's pretty clear. Of the 13 that sold, 23% sold at list price or more. Listings, 45 were listed, and active listings, 326 active listings. Condos available for sale, midnight January the 4th. Months of inventory is way up there at 5.8 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary of all months of inventory. They're going up. They're very much sitting in a balanced market, and in many situations, especially when you start to get into the 4.8s, the 5.8s, there's some pockets and neighborhoods where it does feel like a bit of a buyer's market where prices are coming down. Generally speaking, prices are coming down or are leveling off. It depends where you're looking. It's so important in these uncertain times and where situations can be so tricky sometimes to figure out and understand what's right, what's wrong, what makes sense, that you're working with a professional that can guide you and show you evidence of why certain decisions could be better than other decisions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.